Hello. I'm getting better. Yay! I did get another week off work because my doctor recommended it. And in this situation, I just do whatever my doctor tells me. So I don't argue much unless of course, it's about taking meds, which I did come off my painkillers, but only because I didn't want to get hooked on them. And otherwise I follow everything to a T. I'm going to be doing less videos, as you can see, but I did want to share this with you. It's an article that it's come off the School of Life, so you can Google that and get them. They send them out, and it's called How to Love, and it's actually got some beautiful snippets in it. Actually, I'll read it to you. One of the great intellectual puzzles that daily life forces all of us to consider on a slightly too regular basis is, why are other people so awful? How come they're so unreliable, aggressive, deceitful, mean, two-faced, or cowardly? As we search for answers, we tend quite naturally to fall back on a standard, compact, and tempting explanation: because they are terrible people. They are appalling, crooked, deformed, or bad. That's simply how some types are. The conclusion may be grim, but it also feels very true and fundamentally unbudgetable. However, when things feel especially clear-cut, we may be goaded to try out an unusual thought experiment which stands to challenge a great many of our certainties and render the world usefully more complicated. We can try to look at our fellow human beings through the eyes of love. This experiment requires particular stamina and is best attempted at quieter, less agitated times of day. When we manage it, it may count as one of our highest ethical achievements. We are normally resolutely on our own side, deeply invested in our own point of view, and prone to trade in settled and moralizing certainties. Yet very occasionally, we have the strength to look at other people through a different lens. We notice that their reality is likely to be far more complicated and nuanced than we first expected, and that contrary to our impulses, they may be deserving of more sympathy and consideration than we thought. Even though they have hurt and frustrated us, even though their behavior runs contrary to what we expect, and even though the temptation is to call them idiots and numbskulls and then move on, looking at another person through the eyes of love involves some of the following: imagination. Moralistic thinking identifies people closely with their worst moments. Love thinking pushes us into a different direction. It bids us to use our imaginations to picture why somebody might have done a regrettable deed and yet could remain a fitting target for a degree of understanding and sympathy. Perhaps they got very frightened. Maybe they were under pressure of extreme anxiety or despair. They might have been trying to say or do something else, and this was all they could manage. Those who look with love guess that there will be sorrow and regret beneath the furious rantings, or a sense of intolerable vulnerability behind the pomposity and snobbishness. They intimate that early trauma and letdown must have formed the backdrop for later transgressions. They will remember that the person before them was once a baby too. The loving interpreter holds on to the idea that sweetness must remain beneath the surface, along with the possibility for remorse and growth. They are committed to mitigating circumstances, to any bits of truth that could cast a less catastrophic light on folly and nastiness. Love thinking refuses to believe that there is ever anything such as evil, pure and simple. Bad behavior is invariably the consequence of hurt. The one who shouts did not feel heard. The one who mocks was once humiliated. The constant cynic had hope snatched from them. This is not an alternative